This is the Capital Markets Program. Hello and welcome. I'm Edidiong Iwang. The Securities and Exchange Commission announced plans to commence the regulation of virtual and crypto asset transactions by foreign and domestic issuers in the country. The SEC, in a statement, directs individuals and corporates to commence the registration of virtual activities, including digital asset offerings, initial coin offerings, security tokens, and other blockchain-based offers. Classifying crypto tokens and crypto coin investments as securities transactions, the regulator directs sponsors and issuers to immediately commence registration within a 3-month period. Joining us now to address this development is the country manager of Luno, Owenize Odia. Hello, Owen. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me, Adidiong.
So how is this regulation by the SEC being perceived across the capital markets community?
Well, while I cannot speak for the capital market, I think this is a welcome development. I would want, first and foremost, like to commend the Security and Exchange Commission for coming up with a position because there's been a global move to regulate cryptocurrencies in recent times. However, just a handful of regulators across the continent have actually put forward a position with over 60% of the African government yet to clarify. So for the SEC to come up with a regulation or a stance around regulation is very, very good and impressive. I mean, it's been long overdue considering the adoption and the wide use case in Nigeria. Lack of regulation has been one of the major challenges we crypto businesses have been facing globally. So it's definitely a welcome development.
What do we know about crypto assets regulation in other climes that you would want the SEC in Nigeria to apply locally?
Well, a few countries have made good progress with respect to regulation by focusing on regulating the players rather than cryptocurrency. Well, regulating the players rather than cryptocurrency itself, because cryptocurrency is something that it might not be effective to regulate, but players in this space. Effective regulation requires more of a collaborative approach. We've seen in other countries, for instance, that is stride made by the SEC in Malaysia, who worked with the likes of Luno to help develop a framework which is in effect today. We work closely with the SEC to help them deepen their understanding around cryptocurrency, and also we're the first to be registered. In South Africa too, there's also been a collaboration between the industry and government, where the Intergovernmental FinTech Working Group that was created by the SRB released its long-awaited position paper on crypto assets. So I think I would want, for it to be able to apply in Nigeria, I want a collaborative approach. So the SEC works with crypto players like Luno and the rights to ensure that they come up with a very, very good framework that would help protect the consumers and, of course, businesses.
Well, the 3-month registration window has been put in place for sponsors and issuers to leverage this. Any idea what compliance looks like at this point?
Okay, so while it's uncertain at the point, we are going to go forward we're going to follow the release process as we trust the SEC to come up with information regarding registration and compliance. And the most important thing here is to know that they are not trying to stifle innovation. They just want to ensure that the framework protects Nigerians and enables industry to thrive. So we're just going to wait and see what the SEC comes up with. But I trust that they'll come up with something good.
So do you have any idea what the registration fee is and how comfortable are operators with the capital base?
So we have no ideas on details for now, but I believe in the coming months we'll probably have clarity on that.
Okay, what are some of the challenges that Nigerians have had with crypto asset investments that you expect this regulation to change?
So a lot of people have been skeptical going into cryptocurrency investments because it did not have some sort of government backing. And of course, with the CBNs releasing a circular warning public on crypto. So I think regulation is to bring clarity for consumers and make people and financial institutions more comfortable dealing with us on crypto assets.
As an industry stakeholder, do you think you and other players have enjoyed adequate pioneer status enough to now be regulated?
Yes, I think everyone is sort of aware about the increase in crypto adoption, most especially in Africa and Nigeria. I mean, the Google Trend reported that Nigeria was top when it came to set for Bitcoin. In the past 6 months, Luno, for us, our signups have doubled, transaction of doubles. So I think regulators understand that a lot of Nigerians are playing in this space. And to ensure that they protect consumers, it's important a proper framework has to be put in place. It is important, however, to mention that Luno as a company, we're self-regulated because we with high standards, and we managed to achieve the growth we have seen because we believe that regulation will definitely help improve this.
So crypto assets investing requires broadband. In your view, how ready is Nigeria in this regard?
Okay, so broadband penetration is almost 40% according to the NCC. So going by our population, that's over 60 million people. And I know that the NCC targets 70% by 2021. So I would say Nigeria is ready and we're moving in the right direction. As I said earlier, we've seen a remarkable increase in adoption, which correlates with the improvements and efforts in educating Nigerians because cryptocurrency is a new technology. So a lot of people do not understand. We're still at the early stage in terms of adoption. Of recent, we had a survey where we sort of asked Nigerians just to have an idea of the number of Nigerians that own cryptocurrency. And we had 11% of Nigerians having a cryptocurrency wallet. So I think it's seen as Africa is an emerging market, Nigeria is an emerging market, and I believe that we already have a mobile native population. What I mean is that people already they've sort of moved from the traditional banking system, from traditional banking to mobile banking, which is where crypto sits today. So I think Nigeria is ready.
Now, you mentioned working with regulators in South Africa, so regulators and stakeholders like you working together. Could you tell us more what that was like?
So yes. So I think here is first of all, I think with the regulators, they know that cryptocurrency is a new technology. They're still trying to sort of get a grip of the technology. So what they did was more focused on the service provider. So like in Malaysia, where I said we are regulated, we worked with the SEC because they understand that it's a new technology. They need to understand. So we had like workshops, training around cryptocurrency. And then they also had to ensure that every exchange goes through some kind of review process to ensure that you have the capability and expertise to offer customers. So because a lot of providers as it is, they have very low capability and regard for safeguarding of customer information. So I think it was more of a collaborative approach. So they understand that it's a new technology and they're just playing in space. So they worked with industry experts like us to ensure that they come up with a framework that would help protect every player in that space.
Could you just tell us, since that's one aspect that has been regulated already, what was that framework like?
So you mean in details? So I think it was more of so I may not be able to give in details, but they sort of reviewed every exchange that wanted to come on board. So exchanges had to go through proper KYC. KYC, I mean, know your customers. So I want to believe that is what the SEC they're going to do now, just to ensure, because I think I'm going back to what the SEC said. If you read the position paper, what they mentioned that the general objective of regulation is not to hinder technology or stifle innovation, but to create standards that sort of encourages ethical practices and will ultimately make a fair and efficient market. So why I might not be able to give in details, but I believe that is what the SEC will be looking at too. Hopefully, we can work with them.
So have they reached out to stakeholders like you, or have you heard anything about them reaching out to, carry out conferences or any workshops in that regard?
So yes, I know there's a fintech group. I'm part of a fintech working group in Nigeria where we have stakeholders, of course, industry experts around the blockchain and crypto space. So we're in constant communication with regulators, not just the SEC now, also with the CBN. So it's coming up. So remember that they've given us 3 months. And I think the regulation is not just going to come out in 3 months. I think the plan is just to ensure that every player comes on board and ensure they have the right people in the space. So we are looking at further collaboration.
Well, do you think there's need for some sort of investors protection fund now that a regulatory environment has been formed?
Well, I guess it's for the regulators to determine that at this point.
In your view, what do you think Nigerians stand to gain when this regulation takes effect?
So what I see for regulation, like I mentioned, regulation is very, very important. The most important thing is that regulation will bring clarity to the business. It will protect consumers and protect businesses. For Luno as a company, we've experienced where lots of customers are not comfortable doing anything with us because they do not have some sort of, because of the backing from the regulators. So I believe that if there's regulation, it will make it a very, very comfortable space for consumers to come in, not just new investors, and also to help build banking relationships.
Okay, do you think the SEC will allow existing investment bankers, for example, to float crypto assets and offerings as a means of diversification?
I wouldn't, I really can't say for now.
Okay, but right now, if you're asked by the SEC or you're in a meeting where they're speaking to stakeholders, what input would you bring to the table? What solutions or suggestions would you make in regards to this regulation? Since, I mean, you've worked with other government and other regulatory bodies in putting a framework together.
So I think, like I mentioned, the most important thing is having a collaborative approach because they know that. And I think the SEC also acknowledges that it's a new terrain for them. So it's something that they want to learn more. And of course, they want to work with serious players like Luno and some others to ensure that they come up with a framework that would help protect. I think the most important thing is not to stifle technology, but be able to protect everybody in the space. A lot of Nigerians are playing in crypto space. Like I mentioned, our transactions have doubled. People are coming on board. Within the last 6 months, I know how many customers we've had on board. So I think it's important that consumers will be able to differentiate from registered platform providers to fraudsters. So it's important that the SEC sort of comes in and says, you know what, let's ensure that we have the right people in this space.
All right, Owen, thank you for your input on the program. Owen is a country manager of Luno. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you, Adidio.
We'll take a quick wrap of the market now. The bulls continue to dominate in the equities market as the NSE All Share Index erased its year-to-date losses by the end of the trading week on Friday. Now, following investors' rejuvenated risk-on attitude amidst declining real returns across fixed income assets, investors' interest in large caps MTN Nigeria, Boa Cement, Dangote Cement, and GT Bank drove the benchmark index higher by 2.5% week on week to 26,928.60 points. The year-to-date return for the index moved into positive territory, settling at 0.5%. A total turnover of 1.53 billion shares worth 16.901 billion naira in 17,882 deals were traded this week by investors of the floor of the stock exchange. And that's in contrast to a total of 1.567 billion shares valued at 20.559 billion naira that exchanged hands last week in 18,396 deals. The banking index topped the sectoral charts, followed by the industrial goods counter, oil and gas, and insurance indices. The consumer goods index was the sole loser following profit-taking in Nigerian breweries. The market opened for 4 trading days this week as the federal government of Nigeria declared Thursday, the 1st of October 2020, a public holiday to mark the nation's 60th independence anniversary. I will take a quick look at the fixed income markets. The bond secondary markets ended this week bullish as investors reinvested coupon payments and maturities. The average yield across instruments contracted by 24 basis points to 6.8%. Across the benchmark curve, demand was heavy at the short and mid segments, while sell-offs caused the expansion witnessed at the long end. Now, looking at the Treasury bills market now, the trading in the Treasury bills market was bearish on the back of reduction in system liquidity. Sell-offs in both market segments and market participants at the NTB segment focusing on the primary market. The average yields across all instruments expanded by 13 basis points to 1.9%. Across the segments, the average yield expanded by 9 basis points and 19 basis points to 1.9% at the OMO and NTB secondary markets, respectively.